Hey sunshine, it's Cady from DarkSunlight. If you're new here, I make videos about bullet journaling, witchy things, and lifestyle in Montreal. If that's something you're into, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified every time I upload a new video. And also, don't forget to follow me over on Instagram at dark_sunlight. I post more bullet journal content over there, as well as how my bullet journal looks when it's all filled in. In this video, I'll be setting up my bullet journal for June. For June, I decided to go with a rose garden theme. On this cover page, I drew in some rose vines with big roses and a wrought iron style gate in the center of the page. I used reference photos to get the roses to look right, as they can be quite complicated to draw. I started using a ruler to draw in the fence lines, but decided pretty quickly that it would be faster and easier to freehand it. I based this gate drawing off the gate from the Secret Garden movie poster and just simplified it a little. On the right-hand page, I added my month title in a thick cursive font. Beneath it, I added the word garden in a block font. After erasing all the pencil marks, I went in with my color. I decided to use 2 shades of Tombow markers for the leaves. I used 126 or light olive as the main base color and 158 or dark olive as the shadow color. I alternated between the 2 markers to blend the colors together. For the rose itself, I used Tombow markers 761 or carnation as the base color and blended 772 or dusty rose into the shadows. As a pop of highlight on the edges of the petals, I used an Archer and Olive acrylograph pen from the Warm Fall set. I did the same to add depth to the shadows using the dark red tone from the same set. To color in the month title, I used the same 2 Tombow markers, blending the darker color into the bottom half of the letters. For the word garden, I used 131 or lemon lime as my base color and used the light olive as the shadow on the bottom of the letters, always blending back and forth with the markers to get a smooth gradient. I went back to the gate on the left and retraced some of the lines with a ruler and a thicker liner pen to add some contrast to the design. Then I used that same pen to outline the page borders I had marked in and started filling them in with black. Luckily, partway through coloring, I realized I had a brush pen I could use, which made the work go much faster. Under the gate, I used the lemon lime Tombow to add some color to the grass and added a touch of shadow with the light olive marker. Going back to the title, I used that same acrylograph pen to highlight some of the edges. The next page I set up was my monthly calendar. I started by using my ruler to draw in all the boxes for the days of the month, as well as the boxes for my social trackers and goals on the right-hand side. I colored the day title boxes in with my black brush pen and fixed some little mistakes with my trusty white gel pen. Next, I added roses to the top half of the spread, using the same coloring techniques as I did on the cover page. added some details to the spread, like drop shadows and zebra striping with my N95 or cool gray Tombow, and added the dates to the calendar. The next spread to set up is my habit and mood tracker. I created the titles in the same thick cursive font and added 5 mini calendars to track 5 different habits throughout the month. For the mood tracker, I added a rose and rosebud to the bottom of the page, and then I added 30 rose petals flying off into the wind. To track my mood throughout the month, I'll color in 1 petal each day based on the color key above the title. After adding in the black borders, I drew in swirling lines to represent the wind carrying the petals using another acrylograph pen from the Warm Fall set. I used each of the theme's colors to fill in the color key for the mood tracker. The next page to set up is my health tracker. I created the title in the same way as the rest and drew in all the boxes for the metrics I'll be tracking throughout the month. For the titles on the right, I drew in some rose leaves and colored them with the light and dark olive Tombow markers. For the titles themselves, I wrote them in with a fine liner and then created a drop shadow with a white acrylograph pen and then went back over the cursive font with a thicker liner to make it stand out and give the letters more shape. The next spread to set up is my productivity level board. I started by creating all the division lines for the levels, the days of the month, and a black line to divide each week. Next, I drew in the key for all my productive tasks I will track throughout the month, divided into 4 categories of dark sunlight work, freelance work, home care, and self-care. You may notice a new task for Twitch, which is because I am now live streaming over on Twitch twice a week on Thursday and Friday mornings. Over there, I'm showing more behind the scenes and sketching work I do in my bullet journal, such as all the sketches I did for this June bullet journal layout. If you want to chill with me while I sketch, feel free to tune in and follow me on Twitch. For the title of this spread, I did it in the same style as the others and didn't add any decor to the page because it'll be quite colorful when it's all filled in at the end of the month. The next spread to set up is my Faves and Memories page. All I did was add another simple rose to the center of the page and a black title over it. Here's where I'll track all the shows, movies, games, music, food, and moments I loved most in June. The last spread to set up for June is the first weekly of the month. For this, I used a diagonal design for the day columns and drew in a rose and some petals swirling through the page. In the corner, I added a mini calendar and used the dark red acrylograph pen to create the title with a light gray drop shadow. I colored the petals in with the carnation tombow and added the wind lines with the gray acrylograph. And that's everything. This is how it turned out. If you are inspired by any of these pages in your own bullet journals, feel free to tag me on Instagram so I can check them out. Special thank you to those of you who hung out with me on Twitch and helped me decide how to design and sketch this whole theme. I truly enjoyed sharing the process with you and hope to keep doing that for future setups. As well, I am happy to share more behind the scenes content, such as how I create and design the printables for these setups. I will, of course, have a digital printable of the setup available later this week for you to download and print on my Patreon, as well as a blank version usable for any month of the year in my Etsy store. Both my Patreon and Etsy will be linked below. As always, thank you so much for watching. Until next time.